Hello, hope you're all doing very well. It's January 23rd, and today I'm back. So today I'm going to be talking about a pretty potential severe weather outbreak, or in fact likely severe weather outbreak, maybe potential tornado outbreak that we could be looking at tomorrow. We're going to be talking about that for a good portion of today's video. And then we're also going to be talking about the winter weather side of this, because we are going to be looking at potentially some areas that are pretty far south that could be looking at some pretty significant snowfall totals. So I hope you're all having a good Monday. It just hasn't been any videos since Friday, but I mean I'm gonna try to post 5 days this week. So I mean I posted 5 days last, or 4 days last week. I'm gonna try to keep uploads like between 4 and 5 days a week. That's kind of what I want to plan, or what I want to do over like the next couple of weeks. But yes, this is our day 2 convective outlook for tomorrow. We're looking at 2 enhanced risks. We have one across areas of coastal Texas, and then another one across areas of coastal Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and areas of the Florida Panhandle as well. Cities in that: New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Mobile, Metairie, I don't know if I said that right, in Gulfport, Mississippi. In the slight risk, we have Houston, Beaumont. And the marginal risk means that goes almost up to Birmingham. It goes up to Tuscaloosa, and then Montgomery's in that as well. And also Jackson, Mississippi. So yeah, I mean some pretty large population centers are under this risk tomorrow. If we go over to pivotal weather here, we can begin to kind of look at what we can expect tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, we'll go ahead and kind of lock it here. We're just looking at some rain generally across a good portion of Texas here, or precip, I guess, because some of this I think is snow up here. Yeah, that's correct, which we're going to talk about that side of stuff in just a second, so we're not really going to focus on that. But we can see across this area of Texas here, we have rain. We take a look at dew points. Don't really have moisture in place tomorrow morning already. We're starting to see that moisture kind of quickly come in though. We can see we still have dew points in the 30s up in the Dallas area, although we're not really expecting severe weather. But where we have that high risk, or not the high risk, this is not a high risk event. I mean this type of high risk here, although the risk with this is quite high for severe weather if you're in the enhanced risk. But it's a big difference between that and an actual high risk on the SPC. But yeah, we don't have a whole lot of moisture already in our areas. I mean, dew is generally in the 40s and 50s across those areas. We can see temperatures are still pretty cold tomorrow morning in many areas as well. Yes, as we go to, we'll go ahead to 14Z. We can see we're starting to really just have we have a lot of showers still generally across central Texas, northern Texas. The coast area is starting to clear out a little bit though. Dew points now, we can see those 50 dew points making kind of getting up and near the Houston area. Still not quite, but we're starting to get a little more moisture. Taking a look at instability, I mean keep in mind this is only 8 a.m. So that, I mean, we're not going to have a whole lot of instability at this time. We can see we're getting it to build up a little bit across southern Texas. And now let's go ahead to 16Z. This is 10 a.m. You can see it's starting to move further north. By noon, we have 1,000 Cape now. This is going to be a very, very close call though. Kind of if we can get, it's going to be hard to get everything in here so quickly, I think. And a lot can go wrong very quickly or not really. It's good if it goes wrong because that means our severe weather threat will dramatically go down. But if we get everything in place, this event has the potential to be pretty big. But we take a sounding and then we see we're still kind of lacking a little bit of stuff. Although this is not too bad right there. I can no longer take box soundings. I forgot. But yeah, when we take a look at this sounding. Not a bad amount of instability. And we're looking at 1,300 ml Cape. Shear profiles are pretty good. I mean, definitely very good, especially kind of right about 850 to 700 millibars. There's some very good shear. I mean, even at the surface is pretty good as well. Hodo doesn't look too bad. So I mean, definitely a decent thread already at 18Z, which I think it's noon, 2 p.m. We can see we have this line kind of forming with potentially supercells out in front of it. That's a very weird dry area, but Yes, I mean now we see we have like those dews in the 60s now all the way up into this area. I mean, this is going to be like a very coastal event though. Like we can see, I mean, this is just going to scrape the coast, which kind of leads us to our severe threat. Yes, we take a sounding further south, and I mean, yes, we can see that shear is kind of what's going to be leading us this severe threat, or mainly tornado threat. Although some of this does look a little messy on HRRR, which I mean, I do think we could be looking at a little bit of a messy storm mode tomorrow. We just that's kind of what the environment that we, or what's kind of what this environment supports, I guess you could say. But I mean, just because you have a messy storm, that doesn't mean you can't get supercells and you can't get tornadoes. So yeah, but I mean, 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. now, we're looking at this line over in Louisiana. Take a sounding out in front of that. Still looking at that shear, although I mean, we're starting to kind of lose a little bit of instability, it seems here. Yeah, I mean, it's very limited across southern Louisiana, and overnight we can see we keep a little bit of instability. So that's kind of what's gonna be keeping our threat going right along the coast. We can see our 10 sig tor threat, 30 sig wind, not 30 sig, but 30 wind, and then the 15 hail over in Texas. Yeah, but I mean, that's what's gonna be keeping our threat going really, right there, as you can see. And I mean, yeah, with all these soundings, shear is definitely supportive of a 10 sig. It's just kind of whether we can get like anything to go, because I mean, it definitely does look like a messy storm, like I said before. So I mean, storms could easily kind of just get choked if they try to get going. The GFS, or not the GFS, the NAM3 is a little bit of a different solution here. It seems like it's much further north actually. Oh yeah, this is a little further north. We'd be seeing, a damaging wind threat all the way up into this area here, a little further north in East Texas. But if we go to, back to reflectivity, we take there's some soundings. This is 20Z, and I mean, yeah, it's a very similar thing. It's a very similar look as what we see at the HRRR. Pretty good HODO. Little sliver of instability. I mean, yeah, this is once again a nice sounding for tornadoes. I mean, I definitely want to watch kind of this area here for the risk of tornadoes, especially with some stuff coming off or onto the coast. I feel like we could see a little bit of a tornado threat just from those alone. A little bit of an enhanced tornado threat with this line. We definitely have the threat for some embedded tornadoes with this line. But as we go throughout the night, I think we'll probably see our tornado threat limited much more like to right along the coast, or not right along the coast, but like in these coastal areas. And then as this line moves east, continues moving east and to the southeast, we can see by Wednesday morning it moves into Alabama, then Georgia, and it's pretty much dead once it gets into Georgia. Although Wednesday, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a threat along like in areas of northern Florida. I'll see if I can get how our environment is in this area. It just kind of depends if we can get. I mean, I'm trying to figure out kind of what's happening here. Let me pull out. There's instability. Okay. We pull up this. So yeah, we kind of just front everything just kind of falls apart before it gets there. We lose instability. Just looks like another rain event across much of the southeast. Although barely even a rain event in some areas, just some showers. So we'll see about that. I don't think Wednesday's severe weather threat will be much of an issue. I think right about like 7 to like maybe noon we could see a threat though in the Florida Panhandle. But yes, that's just the severe weather threat. Let's talk about the winter weather side of things now, because it's kind of a big thing we got to talk about. So we're starting off by looking at the NAM3 model. I mean, we're just looking at this because like the HRRR is going very, very, very certain on what it's saying, and it's much different considering we're only a little bit out from this event. But we can see by tomorrow morning we're looking at some decent snowfall falling from like Lubbock up to Amarillo, Texas. Very dynamic system. I mean, in Texas we're looking at that, severe weather in East Texas and in Southeast Texas, and snow up in Oklahoma and Texas, the Texas Panhandle. You can see pretty much tomorrow throughout the afternoon that snow just stretches slowly northeast. Wraparound snow may be getting into areas of Dallas, Fort Worth. The HRRR has a little bit of a different solution, but Oklahoma City, also Tulsa, Woodward, I mean, all those areas getting in on a pretty big winter storm from this, and also areas of northwestern Arkansas, northern Arkansas, Mountain Home, up into Missouri, St. Louis maybe. Could be looking at some pretty decent snowfall from us. All this should be out of this general area by Wednesday evening. With the exception of up here, we could still be looking at, like up in Missouri, maybe some pack-in snow showers. We switch over to the HRRR model here. It's a little different though. It also seems like it's shifted north since the 18Z run. Definitely. Wait, so every run just kind of seems like, let's go back to the 20Z. So it seems to be shifting a little, or not really, okay. But yes, I mean, this is already, 17Z tomorrow. We're looking at some very heavy snow across areas, Texas, Oklahoma. I mean, we take a look at what the NAM 3 had at this time. Little different for sure. Back to the HRRR, and we can see that again. So we're gonna go back to the 18Z run here. We can see the snow is very weird across Oklahoma because we're looking at like a very dynamic cooling event too, which could bring us snow. And so we can see there's pockets of rain in Oklahoma. So I mean, if we actually see that, those areas, we get this like a significant amount less snow in some areas around them. But where we see that like colder air across northern Texas, we do see a brief change over to snow in Dallas, Fort Worth, on the backside of this tomorrow like evening into tomorrow night. But then also in Arkansas, I mean, just these areas in northern Arkansas just get dumped on with snow tomorrow night. I mean, starting to like tomorrow afternoon, there's areas switch over to snow after we're getting a little bit of rain. Stay snow, maybe get a little like brief switch over to rain right as the low goes through that area, and then more snow on the backside. Then all this is out by Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening from this area. I mean, it's up north, but we take a look at total snowfall accumulations from this. A lot of snow in some areas, like 5, 6, 7 inches in some localized areas. I mean, HRRR is even indicating like pockets of 8 to 9, 10 inches. But generally, Oklahoma City will get some snow. Tulsa will probably get some snow. Most of northwestern Arkansas will probably get some snow. I mean, this kind of looks like the hot spot here. This kind of sliver right here, which we take a look at like what the NAM 3 has, if I can get over there to that. The NAM 3 is a little further north. So with the NAM 3, our hot spots like more across this area here. Which, let me go do a little comparison here. See what other models we can look at here. The ARW. ARW is kind of right in the middle, but my gosh, it's so much snow. Like right west of Dallas, or Fort Worth. But yeah, so I mean, it definitely looks like somewhere kind of like right along this area here is just going to get absolutely dumped on with wet, heavy snow tomorrow due to this being a dynamic cooling event, and that just continues into this area, which is what we want to talk about next. So I mean, yeah, some areas could be looking at a lot of snow from this. Could cause some pretty big issues, considering these areas aren't used to this much snow. I do think the ARW is a little high. I would say the NAM 3 is like a little bit of is a pretty good solution here. Although it could end up being a little further south, but we'll definitely see how this is doing tomorrow, or like which model actually is doing the best. But now I want to move up to the northeast because that's going to be the area we're going to want to watch. So the northeast is different because we're not going to be looking at like a similar event to where what we're seeing in other areas. So the northeast, we're going to see this warm front move in Wednesday. So pretty clear morning Wednesday morning for much of the northeast here. Temperatures are pretty cold. We can see right below freezing in many areas, even along the coast, which is going to help for some like roads to be cold enough for some accumulation. Even some like very cold air up near up in Maine. We'll see. Let's see if other models actually have that as well. The European kind of also has that. Yeah, so the European's very cold as well. So we're already seeing all that. And then we go back to precipitation, and I mean, we see this these front end bands of snow kind of moving into areas of New York, PA throughout Wednesday morning, and then into Wednesday afternoon you can see those continue to move north. But also with that, the rain snow line moves north because this low is moving northeast. Excuse me. So some areas, like we can see, this is what we're looking at 5 p.m. Wednesday. We're looking at some pretty moderate to heavy snow across areas in New York, northeast PA, northern New Jersey, all the way up into, stretching pretty far northeast. But then that rain snow line is just going further north. I mean, even New York City could briefly start out as snow potentially from this. But then we can see many areas switch over to rain, and then by Thursday at 60, I mean, literally everywhere is rain in Massachusetts, other than maybe some freezing rain left over. But snow is locked up way into Vermont, New Hampshire, and then Maine, where you could pick up some pretty decent snowfall in those areas. But like 24-hour snowfall accumulations here, so we can get an idea of what we're looking at just from the system kind of alone. Generally, some areas across PA, New York could pick up like a quick 2 to 4, 5, 6 inches in some higher elevations, especially as you get further north. And then into like these areas, kind of similar areas that got a lot of snow from this last system. In these areas in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, could be looking at more. If we switch over to the NAM 12 kilometer, we can see areas of Maine pick up quite a lot of snow from this. Yeah, so I mean, 6 inches in some areas along the coast or near the coast, and then inland about, like 7, 8 inches of snow on the NAM here. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure those areas also switch over to rain. Yeah, so I mean, pretty much everywhere along the coast at some point is going to switch over to rain, which is sad considering this is January. And most of these areas still haven't even gotten a good snow along the coast. I mean. Not like last year where we had that big system like near in Boston towards the end of the month. But no, I mean, this is just very annoying. But we look at what we're going to be. Let's take a look at what we're going to be expecting over the next week. So Thursday, we can see we just have that a little bit of snow on the backside of this system here, northwest flow event maybe in Tennessee, Kentucky, kind of in the higher elevations in those areas. Maybe a little bit of a clipper system Friday. The European has this also being here. Not really like an eventful system though, just kind of a clipper course. And then another system on Saturday ejects into the plains. We see another snow event across areas of the central U.S. Into the Midwest, and then into the interior Northeast once again. Which I would want to watch this right here, because this could potentially be something. We see this is a week out, so some stuff can change. We look at how like the past couple of runs of the GFS have generally broadened this thing a little closer to the coast. It's kind of, I mean, the last run has the 18Z really, we've had a lot more precipitation with it, or a lot more moisture. So we'll see if that can do anything. That's about Monday next week. Don't really look at the time frame. I'm gonna look at the general time frame, like the 30th to the 31st. And after this is kind of something the GFS has been showing since Saturday. It's just this big like February 2021, like just extreme like cold air from most of the central U.S. And of course we got the southeast ridge here Thursday. I mean this is 234 hours out, so I mean I don't even think this is going to happen in the south, like in the southeast, because it's a little too close to northern Georgia here. So I don't think we'll actually, I mean if this happens it'll probably trend further west. But I mean the GFS has been showing signs of some big like systems kind of along this jet, like right before this like the east actually gets cold, and the east finally gets to cool down. The east gets cold, but then we have no moisture, so it's just very annoying. But the GFS is starting to indicate some colder air actually getting into the east and much of the U.S. here soon. We take a look at, that's not what I want. I want temperature anomalies. So like, I mean, southeast is pretty cold. I mean, it's pretty below average. Will be below average for a good bit of this week, with the exception of Wednesday. And then Though next week, this weekend's looking pretty warm in this like most of the east. Then we see, these like this big cold blast. This is next. We'll go to next Wednesday here. We're just looking at some very cold air. The GFS is pretty consistent with this. For the central U.S. So the central U.S. could be looking at a pretty big cool down next week. We're starting to kind of see hints of it. I think the euro will partly go out far enough here. The 12Z should go. Yeah, so the 12Z indicates something similar. We see this like mid next week. So Monday here we see that first system bring that cold air. That first front bring that cold air into the central U.S. and it just kind of slowly pushes east. So I mean, by the end of next week, we are looking at some cold air in the east potentially. Yes, we see that's that system, and then we have that front from our system this weekend, which brings that cold air into the central U.S. And we see it after that. We see it finally get to the east. So we could be looking at a cool down in the east for sure as we go into like the end of next week. Definitely the central U.S. towards the first part of next week. We're starting to see some hints of that. I don't think it's gonna quite live up to like February 2021. But it's not impossible. Again, I don't think it's gonna happen. It doesn't look like that. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. And I will probably have another video out for y'all tomorrow. But yeah, goodbye.